We are live. Back at it again. We have Spencer back from the dead. He was sick last week, so I ran our episode 8 solo last week. It ended up pretty good, but I feel like I can only talk for so long. But yeah, good to have you back, and a good amount has happened since then. We have a pretty good agenda coming up today, mainly NFL, a little bit of NBA, as well as college football playoffs. We have the first round happened already, and then we have the quarterfinals happening. So, any updates, or you want to just hop into it?
But yeah, before we hop into it, just want to say that's a pretty sick hat. Is that a World Baseball Classic Japan hat?
It is, yeah. World Baseball Classic, new era. In the picture, it didn't look corduroy, but it is corduroy. But
yeah, I was gonna say it looks corduroy.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. You got to get a Mexico
one. Team USA, that's gonna be probably a very fun World Baseball Classic. Like,
I looked at the
USA has brought all of their best players. I think Sasaki is the only guy from Japan who's not playing, and even like the DR and teams like that, it should be interesting. But obviously, US and Japan is a matchup everyone wants to see
for sure. I think Japan is probably has the shortest odds as far as like winning the whole thing. But yeah,
the US does.
Oh, US has really. I guess
they brought out I mean, it's a little in advance, so we don't want to derail, but they have Tarek Skubal, Cy Young, Paul Skeens, Cy Young, the captain, Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., Cal Raleigh, the big dumper. So don't sleep on the US.
Hey, if the US are favorites now, I think it might be a good bet to take Japan, but we'll get into that once it kind of gets into summertime. But yeah, this NFL week was crazy. I messed up. I got whacked. We'll kind of go into it on the recap. But a ton of really good games. I guess we can start off with probably Thursday Night Football. The Seahawks playing in Seattle against, at the time, the number 1 seeded in the NFC, Los Angeles Rams. The whole thing with Puka going on stream with Aiden Ross and Neon. Really wanted him to do the little celebration. Hope we don't get canceled for that. But Puka went off. Matthew Stafford continues showing why he's the MVP of the league. But it came down to a weird 2-point conversion that somehow got ruled a successful conversion. And Seattle, they tied the game, went into overtime, and they won an overtime off of another 2-point conversion. So they're currently sitting atop of the division as well as atop of the NFC as the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, it was an absolutely crazy game. Hopefully you guys had the over 75 points.
Over was free.
Yeah, and I know my dad was watching it, and he was just like, yeah, this game's over after they were up 16 points. And next thing you know, the Rams are punting it, and Shaheed takes it to the house. Trade deadline acquisition from the Saints is proving to be a great pickup. He is a crazy threat, both in the kickoffs and punt returns. And they didn't go. Did they go for? I guess they were down 14, or were they down 16?
Yeah, they're down 14, I believe.
Yeah, I think they went for it the first time. They didn't get it, so they were down 8, and then they got the ball back again. They threw a touchdown, or Sam Darnold threw a touchdown to AJ Barner. They go for 2, and then they had the controversial 2-point conversion.
No, they were down. They were down 16. You were right. So
they scored a 2-point conversion on the first one.
Yeah, 2 2-point conversions.
Yeah,
well, technically 3 throughout the game, but yeah, that's insane.
2 in regulation.
Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, they had the punt return. And then they had the 2-point conversion, Sam Darnold to Cooper Kupp, and then the infamous 2-point conversion, backwards pass. I heard a whistle on the
Everyone
broadcast.
heard a whistle, but the thing is, the people are saying is like according to the rule book, if there's a whistle, if there's a clear like, if it was deemed, I haven't looked at the actual rule book, but this is like what people in social media put in the comments, like quoting the rule. It's like in the event that a backward or an incomplete pass was ruled as like a backward pass or a fumble, in that point it would be like a backward pass turned into a fumble, I guess. As long as there's a clear recovery of the football, which it was what's his name? He literally just like picked it up. It was Charbonnet.
Charbonnet.
Yeah. I guess the whistle like doesn't really matter, supposedly. I don't know. That I thought that was pretty whack too. I think everyone does except for Seahawks fans.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Aiden Ross and the Puka Nakua stream. I'll just leave it at that. How they reviewed it for a long time, and then they said, "Yeah, Charbonnet picked it up. 2-point conversion is good." But yeah, we know what happened in overtime. Rams got the ball, scored a touchdown. Seahawks came back and they scored a touchdown, and of course, they don't want to play a sudden death game. They're at home, so go for the win. And a wide open AJ Barner again.
Yeah.
No, it was
Saubert.
Yeah. But catches a 2-point conversion and walk off win, 75 points. And like Mike said, Seahawks have the division. People want to knock. I've heard some people want to knock Matthew Stafford for not winning the MVP if he doesn't get the 1 seed. For me, it's just like, what more could you do in that game? 450 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Sam Darnold threw 2 interceptions in the game. Obviously had an amazing comeback with some help from Shaheed, but it's just like Matthew Stafford was also missing Devontae Adams. So it was the Puka Nakua show, 200 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I think the Rams, according to just tiebreakers, have a slim chance of winning the division. They need some help this week with Seattle losing, or else Seattle and the 49ers will play for the division, assuming the 49ers win.
And essentially, whoever wins this division is the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, exactly. So assuming both Seattle and San Francisco take care of business this week, they're playing each other in San Francisco, week 18, for the division and for the number 1 seed. Kind of like last year, how Seattle played Detroit for the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's an interesting turn of events. There's no shortage of like crazy plays that happen throughout the week, but NFC is a gauntlet. Honestly, even after the games on Sunday and Sunday night, the AFC is a gauntlet as well. So I think there's lots of like very top heavy teams, and then there's just like some really bad teams. So that was a crazy game. Great way to start off the week, and kind of moving into the Sunday games.
Saturday?
Yeah. I mean, Eagles Commanders was exactly what you thought. It was close at first, and then Philly just blew the doors open. I think at the Commanders, Marcus Mariota didn't play, or he got hurt, I want to say. They're on their like 3rd string quarterback. What's his name? Like Johnson or something?
Josh Johnson.
Johnson. Like no one knows who even that is. So
he's had a long career, but he's 39 years old and 3rd string for a reason.
Yeah. So not a huge surprise there. The game of the night, the day. I mean, there was only 2 games, but that Packers Bears game. This is the game I got whacked. I was telling Spencer about it that night. I think my days of just like hammering it got to the point where it was a really slow game. Green Bay was up at one point by 10 points. 13 points, sorry. Yeah. And then they were down 10, or the Chicago was down 10 points. They kick a field goal, and they're like Santos was taking his time. Chicago kicking a field goal. Everyone, like Tom Brady was commenting. He's like, "What is he doing?" He's like, taking so much time. Like, you need to get this field goal in before the 2-minute warning, because then they had to try for an onside kick because they only had two timeouts, I want to say. And he just took his time. He kicked the field goal, made it to make it a 7-point game going into the 2-minute timeout. So essentially, if they didn't get the onside kick, the game was over. And of course, you know exactly what happens. They kick the onside kick. Romeo Dobbs like muffs it, and he said he hurt his wrists. I don't really know about that. That might just be like an excuse for him dropping the ball. Chicago recovers it. They march down the field, and even on top of that, they ended up going, they're on like the 5-yard line or 2-yard line, like a goal line stop 3 times in a row by Green Bay. Comes down to 4th and goal. And they run a play, I think, similar to the last time they played Green Bay, and they blitzed everyone, and there's miscommunication in the secondary, and a guy, I forgot what his name was. There's literally a guy that I don't think has ever caught a touchdown before, or like that was his like second catch in the NFL. It was Jade Walker. Don't even know who that is. Like Rome Odunze was out. DJ Moore was essentially like their only receiver the whole game, and he catches on 4th and goal to tie the game at the very end of the game to send it to overtime. And yeah, my mistake was the game was essentially over at that point. They recover that onside kick and the game's over. I hammered it was like minus 1,000 or something before kick the field goal to make it to a 7-point game. So and then it goes into overtime. Malik Willis is in because Jordan Love got hurt. Like I want to say like before halftime. So he was playing the whole second half. And at the very end of the game, he actually like got tackled kind of weird and hurt his throwing shoulder, even though he made a pretty good pass in overtime. But they kind of get to the march down the field a little bit. They get to the Bears like 40-yard line, and it's 4th and 1. It's kind of too far away for a field goal. It's pretty windy down in Soldier Field, so they decide to go for it. They mishandle the snap. It fumbles, so they just hop on it and they turn it over essentially. And then at that point, the game's pretty much over. All Chicago has to do is go down and kick a field goal, but in fitting fashion, Caleb Williams just throws a bomb to DJ Moore, and they just have a walk-off touchdown, and the Bears win the game, secure a playoff position, and essentially, I think they might have secured their division as well. I can't remember. I know they secured a playoff spot, but pretty much they secured the division with that crazy overtime game, and I lost $250.
Yeah, I never heard the amount, but yeah, I've had my own fair share of jams, and then in utter disbelief. Happens, but yeah, absolutely crazy game. Caleb Williams continues to have these heroic comebacks. Definitely not always himself, so I guess the Chicago Bears, but yeah, I know a couple weeks ago we were talking about playoff qualifiers on Kalshi, and I was pretty confident in the Bears not making the playoffs. I didn't actually end up playing it.
I played it. Granted, I didn't play it super big, so it's lost now. Well, they actually didn't secure the playoffs. I think with a loss from the Lions, they secured a playoff spot. So yeah, I lost that one.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Chargers not to make the playoffs, and kind of the same story. I think I'm believe in more the Chargers than the Bears. But yeah, I guess it's left to be seen if they're the real deal come playoff time. But I guess both teams.
Yeah, I mean, like you got to give props to where it's due. The Bears, I mean, played a good game in Lambeau Field. They lost by 7, but they had the chance to tie the game, send it to overtime. this game was kind of an anomaly. But if you look at it, a lot of stuff did go Chicago's way, but they did play well. Well, actually, I take that back. Honestly, watching that game back in my mind now, they didn't play that well. And the fact that, I mean, throughout the season, they have played well, but this specific game, they didn't play particularly well until the very end. And like I said, a lot of stuff went their way, not just the onside kick, the fact that Jordan Love got hurt. And then you have Malik Willis coming in. Josh Jacobs played like one quarter or two, like not even a full half. And he goes down. He doesn't return back to the game. I think the big thing was Green Bay just couldn't stop the run. And Bears have a good run offense. Clearly, they can literally just march down the field running. Green Bay's defense, I think, has a lot of holes, especially in that run. Obviously, you're missing Micah Parsons, which is a huge hit to you, both in the run stop as well as the pass stop, pressuring the quarterback. So you see that major hole in Green Bay. But yeah, I think you got to give props to the Bears for, I think, Caleb Williams as well as Ben Johnson. You know, like everyone's talking about Ben Johnson, like turning this franchise around in a single season. It will be interesting to see them going into the playoffs and how they respond. And even next week's game against the Niners, I think that will be probably one of their biggest tests all season, because yeah, you play Green Bay, you beat Green Bay. A lot of things did go your way though.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I know we were talking about Niners. I guess the Seahawks are visiting Carolina, whereas 49ers are hosting the Bears. The Seahawks have the easier game next week. Once again, not trying to jump ahead, but both teams have to take care of business in order to have that Week 18 one seed or wild card matchup that we saw last season.
Yeah.
So that's it for the Saturday games. Sunday games, my Raiders almost messed around and kept us from having the toilet bowl for next week. Raiders hosting the Giants. Genty, I think the first player ever to have a 50-plus yard receiving and rushing touchdown. Once again, lost season, but
good flash.
Optimistic. We have, playmakers in place. Just have to build out, the line and the defense and all of our other holes. But we do have, Brock Bowers and Jetty both scored, and they are definitely cornerstones that you want to build your franchise with. Josh Allen, I think he had his worst fantasy game in 8 years, 6 years against the Cleveland Browns. Granted, it was in Cleveland, but just didn't look right, and the defense kind of helped him. Definitely didn't cover, but they did get the win, and they're still in the hunt for AFC East. Quickly going down, might as well almost touch every game. Chargers stomped on your Cowboys, Mike.
Yeah, clearly you can see the Cowboys defense was not fixed. They had those 2 or 3 games where they played really well. We're more of a fluke than the real deal. The defense is in shambles. Like even Quinnen Williams. Well, Quinnen Williams didn't even play. He was out with a concussion, I believe. And secondary has its issues. Still don't have Trayvon Diggs. I want to say Deron Bland was out as well. The rookie corners, Ravel, like he's not cutting it. Yeah, there's tons of holes in the defense. I think a lot of it comes from we just need better secondary players, better corners, better safeties. I think our linebacking core is pretty good with Logan Wilson and Overshone. And then the D-line is actually, I think, pretty decent as well. Of course, you could use a couple of extra pass rushers, but I think obviously Eberflus needs to go. You can clearly see Eberflus with the Bears last year versus Ben Johnson with the Bears this year. I would love to see a different defensive coordinator out there. The offense kind of does its thing. They scored well in the first half, second half. I mean, you got to give props to the Chargers defense. I think the Chargers defense is really good. I think it's really underrated as well. And Charger, yeah. I think not so much the Chargers offense is more so the Cowboys defense that, I mean, let them score 34 points on them. But not much has changed Cowboys wise as far as defense compared to last year.
Yeah, so Chargers unfortunately keep winning. Mike's divisional bet stays alive. Chiefs lose Gardner Minshew, their second string, to not just any injury, but a torn ACL. And they sat out / players were injured, most of their playmakers, and they got trounced by the Tennessee Titans, who now have essentially knocked themselves out of the number one pick, but they have their star quarterback, so the number one pick probably isn't a priority for them. It's, building momentum for next season, but huge win for the Titans, 26-9. Joe Burrow, I think he had fun this week. He's talked about not having fun with football. They absolutely killed the Dolphins, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing, 45-21, with the Tua-less Dolphins. Quinn Ewers started and played all right, but just kind of seemed overmatched with, the Bengals playing.
Because he had 2 interceptions. Did he have a fumble as well? I think he might have had a fumble as well. One of the interception wasn't his fault. He threw it to receiver, it bounced off the receiver, and it got intercepted. But the other one was his fault. I mean, I actually played the Dolphins on this one just because, I think Quinn Ewers compared to Tua, they're arguably the same player. So there was a huge jump in line movement of people taking Cincinnati, but obviously that didn't really matter anyway, because when you fumble the ball, you turn over the ball a lot, give them short field with this offense, there's not much you can do about it. I would love to see Zach Wilson, in the last couple games have an opportunity. By no means is Zach Wilson going to save the Miami Dolphins franchise this season. I guess they would say Quinn Ewers, based off of the him being the backup to Tua and Zach Wilson being the third string. I guess they deem obviously Quinn Ewers as a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. I'd love for Zach Wilson to get some burn in the last couple games of the season, just because I mean, Cincinnati's defense is terrible. I know they have flashes of them being good, but to be honest, their defense is terrible. So Quinn Ewers performing how they performed, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, most definitely. Next game, Saints throttle the Jets. Tyler Show, maybe the solution for quarterback. I think they're definitely going to run him out next season as a starting quarterback. And the Jets continue have 2 games left in the season that have yet to have an interception. And I think if they do not get an interception, they will be the first team ever to not have an interception in a whole season. So I don't know if that means their defensive-minded head coach gets the hook after one season. He got a tough hand dealt to him this season, but yeah, Jets are jetting. Vikings beat the Giants. Vikings without JJ McCarthy. Shocker. He got hurt again. 9, I guess, struggling to stay healthy. But the Vikings defense kind of carried them this game. I think it took until halfway through the second quarter for Jackson Dart to complete a pass. So I know they're missing.
They ran 15 straight run plays. He threw a pick before he made a completion. That's crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of people still like Jackson Dart. I mean, people have said that he's almost in the blue tent every single game. That was an issue with him in college, not knowing how to slide or not take a hit. But yeah, he's had flashes and he's had good games. Obviously not wins because they only have 2 wins on the season. But I think once they get Neighbors back next season from a torn ACL and, shore up some of their inadequacies, I don't know if Scatterby will be ready for next season, but he's definitely your franchise quarterback until he proves otherwise. Big game. Panthers hosted the Buccaneers, and they had, I believe it was a comeback victory. The game was kind of back and forth, but I think it kind of went with the pattern of win a game, lose a game. It's kind of what the Panthers have done all season. This just happened to be a week where they were scheduled to win, and with that win, taking control of the NFC South. And I think maybe we lost Mike, but yeah, Bryce Young obviously looks like a great quarterback. T-Mac, Tedero McMillan has proven that he is a day one starter and a great first round pick for them. Gives them a true number one. And their schedule, just like the Seahawks and the 49ers, assuming the Buccaneers win, that they will have a Week 18 showdown for the division in Tampa Bay. Week 18.
Yeah.
Another big game, afternoon game. Jaguars went into Denver and kind of embarrassed the Denver Broncos, handing them their first loss in 12 weeks, 34-20. Trevor Lawrence, I think the last 5 weeks has like 15 or 16 touchdowns, either on the ground or through the air.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jaguars with Liam Cohen, they look like a legit team to just go into Denver and punch them in the mouth like that. Helping, once again, Mike's Chargers divisional win and possibly costing the Broncos their number one seed. I know that they still control their own destiny in terms of that, but also, once again, setting up a possible Week 18 division or wild card game in Denver.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, we'll talk about the upcoming games. They play the Chiefs, so I mean that'll be pretty much a cakewalk for them. And then they'll go into LA and play the Chargers. That could be a huge game for them. But yeah, I mean, top to bottom, I think the Jaguars were just better than the Broncos this game. From everything, defense, special teams, offense, obviously. Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. He's kind of like, he's been in the league, 4 or 5 years? And this is kind of like the first season where he's like had success by no far. Or I think one of the big sparks to this was them trading for Jacoby Myers from Vegas and the Raiders. He's proven to give them an extra more depth into their passing game, which complements their run game as well. Because ETN, I mean, he's pretty good. I wouldn't say he's like a top back in the league, but the fact that he can run the ball as well as receive the ball gives them extra weapons. You have Brendan Strange as their tight end. And then you have Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas Jr. He's been a bit of a disappointment this year, but obviously bringing Jacoby Myers in is going to limit his targets and his catches. It'll be really interesting to see them full strength next. Well, actually, I don't know. Do you know if Travis Hunter is going to come back this season? Because if he does,
for the year.
Okay. If he's out, it would be really interesting to see them full strength next season with all those offensive weapons. And then, of course, you have Cam Little, who in warmups, he hit a 73-yard field goal. Granted, that was in warmups, not in an actual game, but still the fact that he tried from 75, he didn't have the distance for it, but then he tried 73, and he cleared it by a good 4 or 5 feet. So if he had that same kick for the 75, he would have hit it. So when you have weapons like that, this offense is just really good. And their defense is serviceable. I don't want to say their defense is like anything out of this world, but they're decent stopping the run. They have a little bit of a pass rush. You can clearly saw that against the the Broncos. Bo Nix wasn't able to make a lot of the throws that he has been the past several weeks. The run game got going a little bit with RJ Harvey. But yeah, top to bottom, I think the Jags were just better. They made the plays that they needed to make, and Denver didn't.
Most definitely. Yeah, I think Jacoby Myers was extremely helpful, but I think beyond that, it's just Liam Cohen. He was former offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay, just an offensive mastermind, and obviously has a locker room similar to Ben Johnson. I think he's definitely a candidate for Coach of the Year. But yeah, huge win by the Jags on the road. Quickly, the Atlanta Falcons beat the Arizona Cardinals on the road. Kind of just one of the ugly games that you might happen to have on one of the screens. I think there were a couple afternoon games, so maybe you just had it shut off entirely. Really not much to write home about. Kirk Cousins is there because Michael Penix can never stay healthy. And Kyler Murray is hurt / they don't really want to play him anymore. I think they've decided to move on from him and don't want him to get hurt and have to owe him any money. So yeah, the Cards are 3-2 and destined for a top 5 pick in next year's draft. Big game. Steelers going on the road, beating the Lions. Absolutely wild ending. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Mike.
Yeah, so the ending was just as wild as the past Thursday night football game and then the Saturday night football game. This game was kind of just kind of back. Honestly, I would say the most of the game was pretty boring until the very end of the fourth quarter, because at one point Pittsburgh went up, I want to say by 11 points, they're up 12 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then Detroit comes back, scores a touchdown, but then immediately Jalen Warren breaks off a 45-yard rush to make it a 12-point game. And then Detroit just very quickly marches down the field in 2 minutes and scores a touchdown to get it within 5. So essentially, you need to stop, get the ball back, and score, and they win the game. And then in between that, they got to stop, but it was off of a missed chip shot from Chris Boswell for a field goal attempt. It was, I want to say it wasn't from any crazy distance.
Yeah, I think it was a 34-yard field goal. So pretty much an extra point.
Yeah.
And he doinked it off
37-yard field goal indoors because they're playing in Detroit. Chris Boswell is one of I'd say he's a top 5 kicker in the league. He hits it off the post. So what could have been an 8-point game ended up being a 5-point game. And Detroit marches down the field, and they had the crazy last play of the game. They had 1 play left. Detroit, they're on the 10-yard line or something. Jared Goff passes it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He gets kind of stuffed for a second or so, but then he laterals it back to Jared Goff, who proceeds to dive into the end zone. There was flags and there was whistles blowing at the very end of that play. And the weird thing was they called it an offensive pass interference. Well, first of all, it was ruled a touchdown based off of the play because he lateraled Amon-Ra lateraled it to Jared Goff before the whistles blew. But there was a flag thrown, and that flag was for offensive pass interference by Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it was ruled a touchdown. In most cases, it would just be a replay of down because it technically was a touchdown, but there was a penalty and you would enforce penalty yardage, right? But replay the down. But in this specific case, since it was at the end of the game and there's no time left, according to the rule book, any type of offensive penalty doesn't get a replay of the down or any extension to the game, and the game is just called over. So that was a wild ending. And then in between that, you had a fan supposedly saying something to DK Metcalf. DK comes over, grabs him, smacks him in the face, and then walks off. Didn't get any punishment during the game, no flags or anything. He ended up getting a 2-game suspension off of that, which works in my favor because the guy I'm playing in the fantasy championship has DK as one of his main receivers. So I'm okay with that. Plus, I also I hit on Cleveland plus 5.5. And then now I want to say it's like 4.5. Anyway, that's next week's game. But wild game nonetheless. The fact that it was ruled a touchdown, but because it was an offensive penalty by the rule book, they just end the game there. Kind of sucks. I get where it's coming from, but yeah. And with that win, Pittsburgh, they don't clinch the division yet. They need Baltimore, I believe, to lose one more game, or the Pittsburgh also needs to win one more game. If they win one more game, that I think they clinch the division in the playoffs. But Mike Tomlin secures his 19th straight season of a winning record, which is insane.
I think it's 500 or better, so never had a losing season. Now you obviously can't have a 500 record, but yeah, absolutely wild. Steelers, similar to the Jags, huge road victory, all but securing them a playoff spot in the division because of the Sunday night game. Where
good thing we didn't bet on the Pittsburgh not to make the playoffs. We were thinking about that.
One of those ones where some of the best moves are the ones you don't make. But New England goes in with Drake May, go into Baltimore and beat, I would say, the Lamar Jackson-less Ravens, because what's his face? Jackson Dart. It seems like Lamar Jackson cannot stay healthy this year, left the game in the second quarter. And they were up for most of the game, kind of until the fourth quarter. And Drake May kind of had a touchdown pass to go up. And then they proceeded, Zay Flowers proceeded to fumble the ball, all but sealing their fate. And the Patriots are now still alive with the help of the Jaguars beating the Broncos to get the number 1 seed. And I think their schedule the rest of the season is pretty easy. So,
yeah, that was a pretty interesting game. I didn't watch it until the very end, but in the fourth quarter, Lamar Jackson goes out before halftime. So then you have Tyler Huntley, right, coming in as backup, which he's played before this year. So arguably you could say, honestly, Tyler Huntley versus injured Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been playing like cheeks this year. So it's not that much of a downgrade, honestly, especially when you have a good run game, which they were feeding Derrick Henry a ton. In the fourth quarter, Ravens, they punched it into the end zone with Derrick Henry going up by 11 with 13 minutes left in the quarter. So essentially, Patriots have to score twice in order to win the game, and then not on top of that, stop the Ravens. And I want to say that they go ahead and they score a touchdown. Kyle Williams pass from Drake May, and then they go for 2 because they're down 11, and they ended up making a 3-point game with a successful 2-point conversion. And then I want to say the Ravens end up fumbling the ball on that very next drive, and Patriots get a pretty easy touchdown by running. I guess they ran 9 plays, but still, Rondre Stevenson scoring the game-winning touchdown, and that was essentially 2 minutes left. I want to say did Tyler Huntley throw a pick, or they might have gone for it, just turnover on downs. No, actually they fumbled. Sorry, the fumble was to end the game. So they ran 2 plays, they fumbled it, and then that was the end of the game. So, yeah, Drake made another comeback. I think it's kind of a similar win in the sense to not as lucky as Chicago beating the Packers playing the backup quarterback. A bunch of weird stuff happens, but they make some good throws. Drake May ends up having like rushes for like 15 yards to secure like the end of the game, slides right before he goes into the end zone. Yeah, Drake May is number 2 in the MVP voting. I don't think he's the favorite. I think obviously Matthew Stafford's is still the favorite. I think the only chance Drake May has is if they win the number 1 seed in the AFC. But even when he does that, they've had such an easy schedule. I sent Spencer this graphic. Them and the Giants both have the same amount of wins above 500 teams, and that's 2 wins. So if that says anything.
Yeah, kind of I think they were worst to first, worst in their division, and barring a collapse because they have one game. They're 1 game up on Buffalo. They should win the division. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like Drake May had his first 300-yard passing game. Took him being down and them losing Lamar Jackson before halftime. But I think I also saw, and granted, I watched the game, but I didn't exactly notice. After the 10-minute mark, they were up by 12 or 15 points. They didn't give Derrick Henry another rushing attempt, and it's just like you don't have Lamar Jackson, and you refuse to give Derrick Henry the ball, and because of that, you guys lose the game. Kind of just malpractice by John Harbaugh. I think he's definitely on the hot seat to be fired. I know he's a good coach, but it seems like him, Lamar Jackson, and maybe some of the other star players have just been butting heads with him, and maybe it's time for a new voice in the locker room. So, not to be seen. Last game.
Go ahead. Get fired. He can just go work for his brother in LA.
Yeah, and then last game last night actually ended up being a barn burner once again. Life's too short. Bet the over. 75 points again. Yep. Yeah, the 49ers absolutely trounced the Colts. I don't think the score was as indicative of how close the game was, especially at halftime. Score was 24-17. The Colts just really couldn't stop it. My hat off to Phillip Rivers for the way he played. I was watching the way he was playing, and I was like, geez, man, like maybe we should have signed him instead of Geno Smith. Just getting the ball out quickly, playing within the system, and I think he threw for 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think it was just 2, but he handed off one of them. 49ers, just their defense, as many injuries as they've had. Brock Purdy actually almost knocked me out of my other league championship match. I was up by 34 points.
Yeah. But they had Alec Pierce.
And what was that? Yeah, Brock Purdy threw for 5 touchdowns and looked like he might be going for a 6th one until he threw a late pick, minus 2 points in our league. That helped me get a comfortable 3-point lead and allowed me to go to my championship, fantasy championship game. So grateful for Brock for forcing the envelope and throwing a pick. Yeah, I think he only needed
this game.
Go ahead.
Oh, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah. I was just like, he had 4 touchdowns, and I had like a 4 or 5 point lead, maybe 6. And I was like, well, as long as he doesn't throw this other one. And then on like 3rd or 4th down, he throws this little check down to Christian McCaffrey, runs it in, and I was getting nervous. Colts turn the ball over immediately, and he's marching down the field. And then he throws that pick, which helps me tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, in our league that I'm in with Spencer and a bunch of our friends, this game solidified my ticket into the championship game. CMC did work for me. It got kind of close, not gonna lie. Going into Monday Night Football, I was legit up 20 something points, maybe even 30. And the guy I was playing against, he had Kittle, which Kittle was killing it this game. He had like a touchdown, like over 100 yards, like almost 10 receptions, I want to say. Purdy was just feeding him. It got one point, it got to like 7-point difference. So, and I kind of believed in CMC, but literally all it could have taken was Purdy just throwing another touchdown to Kittle, and I could have like blown like a 20-something point lead, even with playing CMC. But CMC got a nice insurance score at the end, which put me over the hump and secured the championship for me. But in my other league, in my dynasty league, I was down 6 points, and the other guy, all of his players played already. Sorry, 8 points actually. And I had Tyler, or what's his name? Yeah, Tyler Warren, like star tight end for Indianapolis, who's kind of sucked ever since Danny Dimes has gotten hurt, because Phil Rivers hasn't really been throwing him the ball. All he needed to score was 8 points, and he's projected to like score 11 points. And I think the whole first half he had 1 reception, and I was like, I'm cooked. But then he had a couple receptions in a row. I literally lost that game by 2 points. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not.
No, it's a little blurry, but
2 points. I lost it. And literally the last throw, the throw that Philip Rivers, it was a pick 6, was to Tyler Warren. So that throw probably would have sent me to the championship in that league, which, to be fair, I was in no business, like even like advancing one round. Like I traded all my players in Dynasty League. So I had Devontae Adams. I traded him for a bunch of first round, second round pick and a player. And he ended up getting hurt. So it kind of like worked out in my favor. So I was just happy for making the playoffs first round. I ended up winning the first round, and then I actually had a shot at making the championship. But even if I made the championship, I knew it was going to get smoked. But it's 1 catch. And the thing is, Tyler Warren had, I want to say, like 8 targets, but he only had like 3 receptions. So I'm like, if he would have just caught like 1 extra pass, like it would have sent me to the championship in that league too. But it's all good. The one that matters, I made the championship.
yeah, and I should be in next to you, but
Yeah.
DK Metcalf decided not to get tackled. Granted, I played my guy Ashton Genty over Travion Henderson, but then look what happens this week. Travion Henderson gets hurt, and Ashton Genty goes goblin mode. So it is what it is. I still had a shot.
Not gonna lie,
DK had no targets until it was on the 20-yard line. He gets a catch. They should have tackled him. Stiff arms that guy. Stiff arms another guy, and runs in, and I lose by 2 points in that matchup. So
yeah, not gonna lie, I almost didn't play Trevor Lawrence, and because I have Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and Trevor Lawrence as my quarterbacks, and we do super flex, so we have offensive player, so we can play 2 quarterbacks in our lineups. I picked up Trevor Lawrence on the waiver wire like 2 or 3 weeks ago because I was worried that Lamar was dealing with injuries and stuff like that, which was like honestly a godly waiver wire pickup, like that like saved my season, sent me to the championship, because he not only dropped a 40 burger last week, but this week he dropped 30 plus. And if I almost didn't play Trevor Lawrence because he's going against the Broncos. Broncos are a really good defense. Could have a really bad day versus like Lamar Jackson, like Patriots. They're kind of somewhat untested. Lamar needs to win this game, but also Lamar has been cheeks all like the past 3 or 4 games. So I was just like, you know what? I'm riding with my guy, Trevor Lawrence, put him in instead of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is getting hurt in the first half, scoring I think 4 points or something like that. And then Trevor Lawrence scoring 30 points. And I ended up only winning the game by 10 points. So that's manager instincts right there.
Yeah. We kind of went along on NFL. I don't know how much you want to briefly touch on the NBA.
I think if anything, we're just going to look at standings if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, I have that.
Then we'll just jump into preview. I mean, NBA, we can just like quickly go through that. College football, I think that's something we can spend some time on. The NFL, obviously, there's a lot of good NFL games going on next week.
Yeah, can you see?
Yeah, let me ask.
Yeah, so Mike has had an incredible comeback, and now I'm separated by 6 points on my Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe, if not the first, the second pick by me. They have proven to be very bad this season. 16 wins, I think 2 or 3 games over 500. And then Clippers are the only team on both of ours that have a single digit wins or losses. Don't know exactly what happened there. I think even with Bradley Beal getting hurt, they have a good team.
Well, now they have Zubac that's hurt. He hurt his ankle.
Yeah, shows how much I've been following the Clippers. But yeah, Kawhi's going to play 50 games, but I felt like they were deep enough. The Norman Powell trade has proven to be costly for them. He's playing great in Miami. And I don't even know who they got for him. Was it John Collins or?
I think it was a 3-team trade. They ended up getting John Collins.
Yeah, I don't know how well John Collins has played, but a 36-year-old James Harden and a washed Brook Lopez and all their other players.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think the Clippers would necessarily want to trade James Harden because I don't know. I think, James Harden can pull his old trick where he just like gains a ton of weight and ends up forcing himself out of another city. But yeah, he's definitely not happy there. I'll say that.
Yeah. So I think maybe last time we went over it, I had like a 30-game lead, or maybe we briefly talked about it but didn't show it, and he trimmed it to 16. Now it's down to 6. So anyone's game. Thunder have continued to win, even though they've had, back-to-back losses and the semifinals, and then losing to Minnesota. But close race.
Yeah, I think some of the big things for me that like kind of led up to the closing of the gap has been the Celtics have been playing a lot better. They won on like a 5 or 6 game win streak. They're playing well. Jaylen Brown's playing well. I think they found some good reserves, like Jordan Walsh, Peyton Pritchard's playing well. Keita, their starting center, is playing well. So they're just starting to play better. And yeah, if potentially Jason Tatum comes back, like, and they're like 6th seed, in the East. The East is historically weak, so they can still make the playoffs and potentially make a run, depending on how fast they want to bring back Tatum. So that definitely helped me. Of course, the Thunder are doing their thing, even though they've had actually one of the easiest schedules up until this point in the NBA. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform the remainder of the season. But they still only have 3 losses. Obviously, hurting Spencer is the Cavs. The Cavs have been done pretty poorly. There's still like a couple of games over 500, but you can clearly see that Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, granted, a lot of people have been in and out of the lineups, but that experiment's not really working. Jarrett Allen has declined ever since he's kind of dealt with multiple injuries as well. Evan Mobley has been in and out. I think he had lots of time out because of a calf sprain, I want to say. So that obviously doesn't help you. And then you don't have Baxter, I don't think has played a single game for them this season. And then you don't have Ty Jerome. He's on the Suns now. That was like a 6-man of the year type of player. So that really hurts the Cavs. Lakers have been dealing with a few injuries as well. Luka's been out. Reeves has been out a number of games. LeBron's kind of been the only somewhat healthy Laker out of their big 3. And then other than that, most of those guys are kind of role players. So it's kind of hard to win games when 2 of your big 3 are out for the stretch. And then, I would also say the Pacers are getting a little bit healthier. everyone knows that they're dealing with a ton of injuries, so they're basically playing like their G League guys at this point. But they've started getting like Nemhard back, Matherin's back. Obviously, they're not going to have Halliburton for the rest of the year, and they've had Pascal, but they're starting to get some of their core rotational guys back in, so they're winning a few more games, and then Wizards still suck, so I think they'll still be bad. But Pelicans, they've benched a lot of their veteran players, like Zion is coming off the bench right now. They're playing Derek Queen, who's a very good rookie. They call him he's like the different evolutions. He's like Charizard is Jokic, then you have what's the second evolution of Charmander, whatever that the second tier that's like Şengün, and then you have Charmander is Derek Queen. So they're playing the young guys in New Orleans. They've strung together, I think, a 5-game win streak. Granted, they beat my Mavs, so they're not necessarily playing like great competition, but nonetheless, they're starting to win some games. And then the Mavs for me, they've kind of looked shaky the past like 3 or 4 games, but before that, they went on a solid win streak. And when AD plays, they have potential to win games, but that's the big if he stays healthy and continues to play games.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of just see our wins teams versus our losses teams, the 7 and 8 seed. Celtics and Spurs kind of malpracticed by me for not taking the Spurs. I mean, people were optimistic, but for them to just put it together this quickly, I mean, and Wemby's kind of always an injury case and has dealt with injuries this season, but they've continued to just win without him. Then you have my Hawks and Warriors. Trae Young's been out for a while, and no one really knows what the Warriors are doing. I think last night Draymond got in a fight with Steve Kerr, just left the game. So, yeah,
I'm waiting for them to trade Kuminga. Like, I would love for there to be some sort of like multiple team trade where Kuminga somehow ends up in the Mavs, like with the Mavs. Obviously, I wouldn't just want Kuminga for Anthony Davis. But even doing like a Gafford trade, like somehow we trade like Gafford to like, I don't know, you guys or someone else who could use Gafford, and then we somehow get Kuminga. I would love that.
Yeah, or like Steph to like LA. Like no, that probably wouldn't work. I actually would be also interested in Kuminga. Maybe you give us a bunch of other stuff, and we send LeBron to the Warriors so Curry and him can play their last years together. So tight race. Kudos to Mike's teams for waking up.
It's a long season. Like you clearly see in the NFL, like you have these predictions, like this team should do well, that team not so well. But injuries happen. I mean, we're going to start to reach the point of the season coming up to the new year where trade deadline takes into account players are going to get traded. So far, my Bucks prediction has been correct. I did not foresee necessarily Giannis being out extended period of time for an injury, but I did predict that he was going to have trouble in Milwaukee, potentially want to leave, and I think he's eventually going to get traded. So that's kind of playing out how I thought it was going to be. But yeah, ups and downs, stuff happens, and it's an 82-game season. A lot can happen in that time.
Yeah, most definitely. So we'll have to be seen. Probably got to wrap up in like 10 minutes or so if you want to just.
Yeah. You want to just do NFL or?
We could just do
college football.
The Christmas game rapid fires and maybe pick some games for a Saturday and a Sunday.
Okay.
For both NFL and NBA. So yeah, NFL, enjoy time with your family.
Yeah, NFL is
going to be awful. Cowboys at Commanders. Commanders are trotting out Josh Johnson. Dak, obviously, here we go. Favored by 7 points. If you can get 6.5, take 6.5, but they could very well win by 7 points.
Yeah, I was looking at it when it was 5.5, and there's this show I watch, and they do a Sunday reset like after Sunday Night Football, and they're looking at the line. It was minus 5.5 Cowboys, and he was like, I don't know if potentially Mariota could possibly come back. I know it's a short week, but even Mariota with like a stitched up finger or whatever, like is like miles ahead of Josh Johnson. But obviously, it doesn't seem like Mariota's coming back, so that 5.5 is long gone. So.
Yeah. So Cowboys money line. Cowboys take the spread. Honestly, totals 50.5. Commanders did put up a bunch of points, ruined my live under last week against the Eagles. I guess both teams were culpable of that. Cowboys scored a ton of points, and their defense is bad enough that 50.5 is a high number, but use your discretion. After that, Lions are at the Vikings. Detroit's favored by 7.5.
Once again, game for Detroit.
JJ McCarthy is out, so they're trotting out Max Brosner. So once again, spend time with your family. 7.5. Do you like the Lions to cover, or you like Vikings?
I don't know. This is like a must-win game. You've kind of seen Detroit in some must-win games, and I mean, other than the Cowboys game, they haven't really performed up to expectations. Yeah, it's hard for this game. I probably wouldn't play it either way, whether total or side.
Yeah, I want to say, I guess, other than last week, Detroit had never lost back-to-back games, and Detroit, if they lose again, that would be 3 straight losses. So it could just be, a chalk little parlay. Just go spend time with your family, and I would be shocked if any of these money lines win. So, or even a little bit like a teaser. Total is only 43.5. Once again, are dealing with the Vikings, who probably won't put up a ton of points. So that is an interesting play under 42.5. Or that's the fact that the line's over 42. So I think initially I'd say bet the under.
Yeah.
But the Lions can very well score 31, 35 points by themselves.
Yeah.
Vikings defense is good, though. So, yeah, roll with the under. And then the last game, once again, probably the snooze fest of all snooze fest, the Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. Denver is favored by 13.5. The total is only 36.5. I know it's a low total, but I would probably play the under on that one too.
Yeah, Kansas City is scoring 0 points. The only thing I'm concerned about is Kansas City has no incentive to bring back any of their questionable guys because their season's over. So you could be dealing with second string, third string, both offense and defense, depending on they're not going to bring back Rashee Rice most likely. Who knows if Travis Kelce's going to play? Yeah, but the thing my only worry is Denver themselves could score 40 points. It could be 40 something to 0.
Yeah, and we talked about it that Gardner Minshew's out, so they are currently slated to start Chris Odelakuin from South Dakota State. Was a 7th round pick in 2022. I've heard Matt Castle talking about that he wants to be able to start this week just because he saw Phillip Rivers play. But should be chalk. Once again, spend time with your families. NBA, 5 games. Those should be a little bit more interesting. There is a time to take a nap. Maybe not for Mike, but it is when the Mavericks play at Golden State. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But starting off in the morning, Cavs at Knicks. Knicks are favored by 5.5. I obviously this is a head-to-head for us. Yeah. I'm going to take the Cavs 5.5 without even seeing the injury report. Just hoping, praying that the Cavs can at least cover, let alone win. But a lot of you will be opening up presents with your families, so place at Christmas Eve and just cross your fingers like I am.
I would not take that bet.
Probably the game of the night, the game of the day, Spurs at Thunder, a little rematch of the semifinals where the Spurs upset the Thunder and stopped them from setting the best start to an NBA season and keeping them out of the NBA Cup. Thunder are favored by 10.5 points. As big as that number will be, and obviously injury reports in the NBA change every single day, but I like the Oklahoma City to punch them in the mouth and win by 10.5.
Yeah, this would be one of those games where I would try to just like watch the game and see if I can snag like anything under 10 for OKC. Either that or it gets to a 20-point lead. I don't know. It just depends when they get a 20-point lead, because a 20-point lead in the first half, I might be inclined to take the Spurs on that side if I get like a plus 14.5 or plus 13.5. But if I get anything minus like under 10 relatively early in the game, I might take that for OKC. So more of a live play for me at this point.
Sweet. I agree, but if I had to pick, I would take Oklahoma City to cover. Then you have, once again, where I feel like, take your nap, spend time with your family. Mavericks at the Warriors. Warriors are favored by 7.5. Who knows who's playing for either team? But if Anthony Davis plays, I give you the Mavericks 7.5.
Yeah, that's what I would think too. If AD plays, the thing is, Dallas just doesn't play very well on the road, so that's one thing I'm worried about. And Golden State historically is like always played good at home. I had the Magic last night and plus 6.5, and it was looking great. Going into the fourth quarter, down 6 points, and then they decided to lay a brick and to go. The Warriors went on a 19-2 run, and they got blown out by 23. So.
Yeah, 5:00 game. Right after that is the Rockets at the Los Angeles Lakers. Reeves is back tonight. We'll see how he does. I don't imagine Luka being back. His calf, they treat it very cautiously. I don't know. I feel like the Lakers usually lose on Christmas Day. So give me the Rockets 4.5.
Yeah, I don't know what the line is right now. What, 4.5? Yeah, you would always have to wait for injury news, of who's playing. Honestly, if you can get the Lakers, like Luka's out. I mean, I think the Lakers always play better at home. So, and depending on the line, like plus 6.5, plus 7.5, maybe the Lakers.
Yeah, we've just been dealing with a lot of injuries. Like Rui's out, Ayton was out on Saturday against the Clippers. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Left to be seen. And then the final game, which competes with the Spurs Thunder, is Timberwolves at Nuggets. This is a big rivalry. They've met a couple times in the playoffs. Denver is favored by 4.5. Give me Denver at home. I played last night. Jazz plus 18.5 teased against the Nuggets, thinking, the Jazz will play feisty against at least my Lakers and other teams. But Denver was at home and they just railroaded them by 25 points. So Timberwolves, yeah, they play them well, but give me the Nuggets at home.
Yeah. Nuggets are a weird team this year because they've had lots of games. Like my brother was actually at the Mavs Nuggets game, and yeah, Mavs just straight up beat them. So there's times when Denver looks like a championship team, and there's other times where it's like, is this team going to make the playoffs? So, yeah, Denver's a hard team to read, but yeah, I don't know. I might be inclined to take the T-Wolves there.
Yes. And then I have like 3 or 4 games that are I think are interesting for the NFL. Saturday, huge game, especially for me and Mike. Chargers host the Houston Texans, who won 7 straight. Chargers are favored by 2.5. Give me the Texans so I don't have to sweat out Week 18. Chargers at Denver. I think Chargers have just been running on luck, and their luck's going to run out, and the Texans are going to get after the defense, and the Texans will win.
If anything, I'm in this game, I might do the under because Houston could not move the ball against the Raiders. And that's very problematic. And this Chargers defense is way better than the Raiders defense. and obviously a way better offense. Granted, I think it was kind of like one of those games where it was a look ahead spot where Houston knew they were kind of going to win that game. So they're kind of might have been going ahead and preparing for the Chargers this coming Saturday. I think it would be a close game. If anything, I'd probably take the under. Right now it's like 39.5. I think I already played the under in this game. I think I nabbed it at 40.5 on Sunday night. So CLV moving in my direction. So I think that's how I'd play it, the under.
Yeah. And then that same day at the night game is Ravens at Packers. Who knows if Lamar plays?
This game could have been so much better. You know, you have Jordan Love in there, you have Josh Jacobs in there, you have Lamar Jackson. Like if all of them are healthy, night game, super cold at Lambeau Field, but we get the backup quarterback fiasco. So yeah, it kind of ruins the game in a little bit. But there's still,
I guess Jordan Love, there's a good chance he doesn't play as well. So.
Yeah, and Malik Willis too. Like that injury he had, he said it's due to his shoulder, his throwing shoulder. So could potentially see a third string quarterback for Green Bay.
Yeah, and then nobody probably cares about it except me, but we have the Toilet Bowl. New York Giants at Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are favored by 1.5, but do the right thing for once and lose this game, please. I think there's a good chance they win.
I think they will win. I already played them Sunday night. I got them at plus 105 money line, and now it's minus 120 something. Just knowing their coaching staff, like Pete Carroll, you could see it by the
no, they're gonna win. That's what they do.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll.
The Giants haven't won a game on the road the whole season.
Yeah, like Giants, like the fact that line was favoring the Giants on the road was an immediate misprice. Like the Giants in no way should be favored on the road. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It's the Giants. And knowing Pete Carroll, how he coaches, like he's going to coach to win. Like you clearly saw that against Houston.
Yes, yeah. But please, like, sit Genty, sit Brock, sit Max. Like, do the right thing. Then you got, I think the other real game or the last two games are Eagles at Bills. Bills favored by 1.5. In Buffalo, I honestly think that's crazy. I mean, Eagles defense, if they win, it'll be because of the Eagles defense, not because of Jalen. Press conference quote hurts. Give me the Bills to cover 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, in Buffalo, I don't know. This is a tough one. I think in some way or fashion, it's probably going to be Philly. I think Philly's just a better team, even though their offense sucks. The thing is, Buffalo just like clearly can't really stop that many people on defense. I think the Cleveland Browns, this is the very first time all season they scored more than 18 points, and it was against the Bills. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but I think I saw that.
Yeah, and then the Sunday night game should be an absolutely incredible game. Chicago Bears at San Francisco 49ers. 49ers favored by 3 points. I hate to just do all chalk, but give me the 49ers to win by 3 points. I feel like they're playing really well. It's an East Coast team coming to the West Coast. I mean, it's usually the West Coast team struggles going to East Coast. But, yeah, they've just been running on a lot of, lucky ending games, and I like the 49ers to win. And,
I don't know. Yeah, I
give us the Week 18 showdown. Because if the Bears win, then unless the Seahawks lose to the Panthers, Seahawks get the number 1 seed, and there's no drama in the Week 18.
Yeah, if I had to choose a side, I think it definitely would be San Francisco. I think depending on what the line is right now, I'm seeing a 51.5. I could see this being an over spot. I think the Niners defense still has a lot of holes in it. Like their offense is clicking on all cylinders, and like I think Chicago's defense is kind of overrated, and the fact that they're not as good. Look at just like the competitions they've played, like yeah. So I think the Niners will score all over Chicago's defense, and I think Chicago can score right back. Obviously it will be interesting to see if they have Rome Odunze back and a couple of their other receiving options, because obviously they're going to need that to score points. So if anything, I'd be looking a little bit at the over in this game.
Sweet. So yeah, that's the slate. Everyone have a Merry Christmas. Puka, have a Happy Hanukkah. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, catch y'all later.